Queen Nythara of the Valorian Empire had dissected 312 species mating protocols. None involved voluntary neural exposure to potential pain. Yet here stood Marcus Chen, human diplomat, extending a cluster of severed plant reproductive organs toward her crystalline form. "Flowers," his translator stammered. Her thermal sensors registered his elevated pulse. 97 beats per minute. Adrenaline flooded his primitive circulatory system, yet the death-world creature maintained what his files called a smile. Ambassador Vexhul whispered calculations through his gill slits. "Your Majesty, the human's brain chemistry shows terror markers identical to prey facing execution. But observe, he advances anyway." Marcus stepped closer to her 8-foot frame, fighting every survival instinct screaming retreat. "Your Majesty," his voice carried warmth that shouldn't exist in diplomatic protocol. "On Earth, we believe beauty should be honored with beauty." His hands trembled as he offered the flowers, not from fear of death, but from the terrifying possibility that this gesture might fail. These died so their colors could bring you joy. 17 civilizations had brought Nythara tribute. None had ever gifted her death for the sake of aesthetics. Death for beauty. Her logic circuits stuttered. This makes no evolutionary sense. Yet she found herself cataloging the flower's chromatic properties, the way light fractured through their delicate structures. Why did her thermal sensors linger on their organic geometry? Marcus's core temperature spiked as he waited for her response. Inexplicably, hers did too. Queen Nythara descended through her biochambers, footsteps echoing across 17 decks of perfectly ordered creation. She paused before row 2847, her next generation. 40,000 crystalline shells glowing in -73 degrees perfection, each one calculated, optimized, stripped of chaos. Yet Marcus's smile flickered through her memory, disrupting the mathematical beauty with something wild and unpredictable. Zephyrian reproduction had followed the sacred algorithm for 50,000 years. Genetic pairing selected by neural networks. Emotional variables eliminated. Love, that primitive human concept, held no place in evolutionary perfection. Nythara's own birth represented 847 genetic combinations refined through 17 computational cycles. Her royal bloodline traced back through carefully curated sequences, each generation more logically superior than the last. Emotions weakened decision matrices. Attachment clouded judgment, universal truth. Yet watching Marcus Chen's courtship display had triggered something unprecedented. Her thoracic temperature had risen 0.7 degrees, impossible without system malfunction. Cardiac rhythm increased by 12 beats per cycle. Medical scanners detected elevated oxytocin analogs in her ichor. Zephyrian physiology didn't produce such chemicals. The Empire's greatest scientists had genetically eliminated them eons ago. So why was her body betraying 50 millennia of biological engineering? And why did Marcus's smile linger in her neural pathways like a virus she couldn't purge? Emergency klaxons shrieked through the Zephyrian flagship, a bone-deep wail that made Marcus's teeth ache. 17 galactic coalition vessels tore through subspace at the system's edge. The deck vibrated beneath his feet, alien metal groaning under gravitational stress. Queen Nythara's compound eyes tracked the tactical display, her secondary hearts hammered in syncopated terror. War, here, now. Marcus Chen stepped forward. "Your Majesty, I can mediate." Impossible. The human stress indicators remained baseline, while her entire bridge crew secreted panic pheromones. Coalition Admiral Vex's transmission crackled through. "Surrender the human diplomat or face annihilation. You have 6 standard hours. 6 hours. Thesara's exoskeleton rippled with involuntary fear colors. The coalition possessed planet crackers, quantum disruptors, weapons that could glass her homeworld. Yet Marcus, this soft, warm anomaly, exhibited no flight response. His pupils remained constant diameter, despite adrenaline cascading through his bloodstream. "I need unrestricted access to your communications array," Marcus said, his voice steadier than he felt. "And 18 hours of diplomatic immunity." Thesara's mandibles clicked. "The coalition gave us 6 hours. I know," Marcus met her compound gaze, "but I need 18 to make this work." 18 hours to pull off the impossible, he thought. Please let Admiral Vex remember our Academy friendship. The human was either suicidal or possessed capabilities beyond Zephyrian comprehension. Marcus Chen's tears fell at 98.6 degrees. Queen Nythara's crystalline sensors registered the anomaly, liquid emotion streaming down human cheeks at temperatures that would vaporize Zephyrian blood. Counselor Vex 9 adjusted his neural dampeners. "The creature leaks," he announced to the High Court. "Probable system malfunction." But Marcus wasn't malfunctioning. He was grieving. His voice cracked as he spoke of his homeworld's children, of the peace they deserved. Each word carried electromagnetic signatures the Zephyrians had never encountered, genuine care radiating at frequencies that made their logic cores stutter. Nythara watched her advisors retreat behind logic shields. In 8 centuries of conquest, no species had weaponized weakness so effectively. Marcus's emotional display triggered something unprecedented, doubt in a civilization built on absolute certainty. "Analysis," she commanded. "Biological impossibility," Vex 9 reported, his vocal membranes vibrating with confusion. "Humans experience cognitive interference during stress, yet maintain enhanced problem-solving capacity. They grow stronger through suffering." Thesara's mandibles clicked softly. Death worlders. They actually thrived on pain. Queen Nythara's exoskeleton tingled, a sensation she had no word for. Internal temperature readings climbed 0.3 degrees Celsius. The warmth spread from her thoracic cavity outward, like liquid sunlight through crystalline veins. Impossible. Zephyrian physiology had maintained precise thermal regulation for 3 million years of evolution. Yet watching Marcus Chen defend his species' primitive bonding rituals triggered something unprecedented. Marcus stood before the assembled High Council, his voice carrying warmth that shouldn't exist in diplomatic chambers. "We choose our mates through connection, not genetic optimization. Yes, it's inefficient. Yes, it causes pain." He paused, meeting her compound gaze. "But that pain makes us stronger." Thesara's secondary heart, dormant since metamorphosis, flutter-stepped. A diagnostic cascade flooded her neural pathways, elevated hemolymph pressure, dilated optical sensors, involuntary mandible movements. Her medical subroutines screamed warnings about system failures. But Marcus continued speaking, describing how humans sacrificed efficiency for emotional bonds, how they chose partners based on abstract concepts like trust and laughter. His eyes met hers across the crystalline chamber, those primitive brown irises somehow piercing her compound vision. Another temperature spike, 0.8 degrees. For the first time in her 847-year reign, Queen Nythara of the Valorian Empire experienced what humans called a heartbeat. The sound terrified her. Chief Physician Varek's scanner trembled, an impossibility for Zephyrian neural hydraulics. Queen Nythara's internal temperature had risen 2.7 degrees since Marcus Chen's arrival. Her vascular conductors, evolved for perfect thermal regulation over 12 millennia, were dilating without cause. "Your Majesty," Varric's vocal membranes contracted. "These readings suggest emotional contamination." Thesara's thoracic cavity compressed as conflicting impulses warred within her. Emotions are evolutionary poison, her training insisted. Chaos that doomed lesser species. Yet watching Marcus's concern radiate across the quantum barrier, she wondered, what if we were wrong? Her core systems registered unprecedented patterns: rapid hemolymph flow, heightened neural activity in dormant pleasure centers, chemical cascades resembling what humans called butterflies. Marcus stood beyond the medical chamber's energy barrier, somehow projecting warmth through quantum-sealed walls. Death worlders couldn't generate psychic fields, yet here he stood, her biosensors responding to his mere presence. Dr. Morvain activated the isolation protocols. "The human's influence exceeds our projections, my queen. His courtship displays are triggering dormant genetic sequences, pre-rational programming from our species' emotional past." Thesara watched Marcus gesture toward her with that peculiar human expression, concern without calculation. Her temperature spiked another degree. For 50,000 years, Zephyrian evolution had eliminated such weakness. Yet one primitive human had awakened something their empire thought extinct: feeling. Chief Scientist Vex 9 trembled as xenobiological scanners confirmed the impossible. Marcus Chen's pheromone signature, traced through ventilation systems, had activated dormant neural pathways in 73% of Zephyrian crew members. Pathways that evolutionary records claimed extinct for 12 million cycles. Queen Thesara's 8-foot frame convulsed as suppressed emotional centers blazed to life. Her chitinous exoskeleton cracked along stress fractures never before documented. The human diplomat stood unaware, discussing trade agreements while his death world biology rewrote Zephyrian neurochemistry. "Your Majesty," Vex 9 whispered, "the human's chemical emissions are awakening us." Thesara felt something unprecedented. Longing, not reproductive calculation, actual desire. Her species had engineered away emotional chaos eons ago, replacing passion with pure logic. Yet Marcus's mere presence triggered ancestral memories of warmth, connection, joy. She accessed atmospheric readings through her neural implants. Human pheromones, 0.003 parts per billion, negligible by any scientific standard. How is this possible? Thesara's mandibles clicked rapidly, processing impossibility. Such microscopic concentrations shouldn't affect advanced neurochemistry. "They shouldn't," Vex 9 confirmed, his display showing cascading chemical reactions. "But the human compounds aren't overpowering our systems. They're unlocking genetic sequences. Dormant receptors we thought evolved away. He's not changing us, Your Majesty. He's remembering us." That microscopic concentration had accomplished what Zephyrian scientists deemed impossible: resurrection of emotions her people believed forever lost. Marcus smiled, unaware he had just revolutionized an empire's understanding of consciousness itself. 17 hours after initial pheromone exposure, Queen Thesara's crystalline exoskeleton began fracturing. Royal physicians watched in horror as their sovereign's neural pathways, dormant for 3 million years, ignited like stellar nurseries. Marcus Chen stood witness to the impossible. Where Zephyrian queens possessed zero emotional variance, bioscanners now detected 17 distinct chemical cascades flooding Thesara's system. Her thoracic chambers contracted irregularly, Bioluminescent patches flickered in patterns that defied imperial programming. "This is pain?" she whispered, mandibles trembling as foreign sensations crashed through her consciousness. Marcus approached slowly, recognizing the vulnerability in every fractured edge of her exoskeleton. "Not just pain," he said softly. "Fear, wonder, longing." Nythara's compound eyes locked onto his, and for the first time in her 847-year reign, she understood why her species had abandoned emotional evolution. It hurt. It overwhelmed. It made every decision complex beyond imperial logic. "Make it stop," she whispered. Marcus stepped closer. "I can't, but I can teach you to navigate it." "Why?" her voice cracked. "Why would you inflict this on us?" "I didn't inflict anything." His hand hovered near her fractured exoskeleton, not touching, just present. "This was always in you. Your people just forgot." Nythara's sensors detected his elevated heart rate, the slight tremor in his fingers, the way his pupils dilated when looking at her. He was afraid too, vulnerable too. Yet, as Marcus's warmth radiated through the sterile chamber, Nythara made a choice that would redefine her species. "Let them call it madness," she decided. "Let them say I'm contaminated." Her mandibles curved upward in an expression borrowed from human anatomy. Queen Nythara of the Valorian Empire smiled. The expression looked alien on her features, but the emotion behind it, pure and devastating, felt universal. Her world had just expanded beyond conquest. High Chancellor Vextar raised the neural disruptor, its quantum frequencies calibrated to sever Queen Nythara's new emotional pathways. "This contamination ends now," he declared to the assembled council. Marcus Chen stepped forward, his heart hammering at 150 beats per minute despite his steady exterior. "If I show fear now, they'll lobotomize her for certain." "You're about to destroy the most evolved being in your empire," he said, voice level. Nythara's transformed neural patterns blazed across the medical scanners. Synaptic density increased 340%. Dopamine cascades creating impossible chemical symphonies. The human's pheromones had unlocked evolutionary potential dormant for millennia. "Stand down, human," Vextar commanded. "Your species has weaponized emotion against us. The Queen is compromised." "Compromised?" Marcus's laugh vibrated at 85 decibels of pure defiance. "She's awakened. There's a difference." "Semantics. The procedure will restore her to baseline efficiency." "Baseline efficiency," Marcus repeated, letting the words hang in the air. "You mean the baseline that couldn't solve the coalition crisis? The baseline that calculated acceptable losses instead of finding diplomatic solutions?" He gestured to the neural disruptor. "That baseline?" Vextar's mandibles clicked. "The human makes fair points, but emotion clouds judgment. It always has." "Then explain," Nythara's voice cut through the chamber, "how I negotiated peace with Admiral Vex in 12 hours. How I identified 17 new trade opportunities your logical minds missed. How I prevented a war." She rose from her throne, 8 feet of transformed royalty. For the first time in Zephyrian history, a queen spoke with vocal tremors. Not weakness, but something far more dangerous. Love. "Lower the disruptor, Chancellor. I choose to remain infected." Marcus Chen stepped between Queen Nythara and 14 plasma cannons. His heart rate spiked to 180 beats per minute, twice what should kill any rational species. The High Council's targeting systems calculated his survival probability, 0.0%. Yet the human's voice remained steady. "She's not infected," Marcus declared, his thermal signature blazing against the council chamber's crystalline walls. "She's evolving. General Vorthak's mandibles clicked dismissively. Impossible. Zephyrians don't evolve beyond reproductive efficiency. What you call evolution is genetic corruption. Is it? Marcus turned toward Queen Nythara, whose bio-reading showed impossible contradictions. General, when did your species last successfully negotiate with the coalition? When did you last prevent a war without firing a single shot? Vorthak's optical sensors dimmed. That is irrelevant to this discussion. Yesterday, General. The answer is yesterday, because she, Marcus gestured to Nythara, was able to understand something your logic couldn't process. Empathy, connection, the ability to see what others need, not just what you want. The targeting lasers remained locked on Marcus's chest. He ignored them. Your Majesty, Marcus said, reaching out his hand, not with diplomatic protocol, but with something the Empire had never catalogued. Compassion. What do you feel? Queen Nythara's voice cracked, another biological impossibility, but she didn't retreat behind royal composure. She stepped forward, her massive form moving with new grace, and her words echoed through the chamber. I feel alive. For the first time in 847 years, I feel alive. Her compound eyes swept across the assembled council. I feel fear for my people, hope for our future, joy when I see Marcus's face. Her voice strengthened. And love, terrifying, overwhelming love, for the possibility that we could be more than efficient, that we could be whole. 14 plasma cannons powered down, not from Marcus's words, but from the tears streaming down an 8-foot apex predator's face. The Valorian Empire had just witnessed their first miracle. Love. Queen Nythara of the Valorian Empire stood before the assembled High Council, her bioluminescent crest pulsing in patterns her species had never witnessed. 43 millennia, she began, her voice tuned to frequencies that resonated in every council member's exoskeleton. We have followed the sacred algorithm, genetic perfection, emotional sterility, logical supremacy. Councillor Vrex's mandibles clicked nervously. Yes, Your Majesty, these principles built our empire. And limited it. Nythara activated the holographic display. Observer, Coalition Crisis Resolution. Zephyrian protocols predicted 73% casualties. Human intervention achieved 0 casualties. The council chamber fell silent. Observe, trade agreement negotiations. Zephyrian analysis identified 47 opportunities. Human emotional intelligence identified 217. Another hologram appeared. Observe, colony revolt predictions. Our algorithms detected 0 warning signs. Human empathic assessment predicted unrest 3 cycles before outbreak. Councillor Vrex's optical sensors dimmed. Your Majesty, you speak of abandoning evolutionary perfection for evolutionary adaptation, Nythara finished. Marcus Chen has shown us that what we called perfection was stagnation. We conquered 12,000 worlds and learned nothing from them. Marcus stepped forward, his core temperature reading 37.8 degrees, despite the sub-zero council chamber. Your Majesty is proposing integration, not replacement. Keep your logic. Add emotion. You'll be stronger for both. Nythara's decision rippled across quantum communication networks. Within hours, Zephyrian colonies reported unprecedented phenomena. In Sector 7, engineers collaborated voluntarily, improving efficiency by 23%. In Sector 12, artists emerged from populations that had never conceptualized aesthetic expression. In Sector 19, a maintenance worker sacrificed optimal efficiency to comfort a distressed colleague. The Empire's greatest strength, logical uniformity, was evolving into something new, the capacity to choose. Ambassador Corlix of the Andorian Collective witnessed the impossible broadcast across 17 star systems. Marcus Chen stood beside Queen Nythara before the assembled Galactic Council. Her crystalline palm rested warm against his, impossibly warm, like holding liquid starlight. The contact sent bioluminescent patterns racing up her arm. Their joined hands radiated heat signatures that rewrote 8 million years of xenobiological law. Emotional symbiosis, Marcus explained to stunned representatives. Queen Nythara's physiology has adapted. New organ clusters metabolize human pheromones into neurochemical cascades. Nythara spoke, her voice carrying impossible vocal harmonics. My people believed emotions were evolutionary dead ends. We were wrong. She gestured to the assembled species. Logic without empathy created an empire. Logic with empathy can create a civilization. Council archives updated in real time. First recorded interspecies emotional symbiosis, Zephyrian human bonding. Implications: unprecedented. Across the galaxy, xenobiologists abandoned 12,000 research papers. Marcus squeezed Nythara's hand. Her bioluminescence flared brighter, patterns that now translated directly to affection in 17 languages. Humanity's greatest conquest wasn't through superior firepower or technology. They had simply shown other species how to feel. Within a single galactic cycle, the report spread through every star system. The Valorian Empire, unchanged for 50,000 years, was transforming. Queen Nythara stood before the Galactic Council, her bioluminescence pulsing in patterns that carried emotional weight. Beside her, Marcus Chen maintained his steady 37.2 degrees C warmth, no longer alien but complementary. Representatives, Nythara began, I present Amendment 2847 to Imperial Doctrine, Emotional Intelligence as Strategic Asset. The chamber erupted in murmurs. 17 species had tried to change Zephyrian policy. All had failed, until one human succeeded, not through negotiation, but through being authentically himself. The Valorian Empire has conquered through logic, Nythara continued. Now we propose to grow through something more powerful, partnership. Ambassador Corlix of the Andorian Collective rose. Your Majesty, with respect, emotions weakened my people for millennia, and suppressing them has stagnated mine. Nythara's mandibles curved in that borrowed human expression. Perhaps balance is the answer. Marcus squeezed her hand, once a terrifying gesture, now comforting. We're not here to make you human. We're here to help you become more fully yourselves. Across the galaxy, xenobiologists recorded unprecedented phenomena, Zephyrian human cultural exchange programs, emotional intelligence training integrated into 17 species academies, ancient genetic sequences reactivating across populations that had suppressed them for eons. The galaxy wasn't conquered by Earth's weapons or technology. It was transformed by one diplomat's patient courtship of an alien queen and her courage to choose love over perfection.